Supremacists, and I'd like to welcome each and every one of you. I've been away from Facebook. I am your Omi, and I am here to give you a little clarity on what's been happening in Indy and what's been going on in my mind. So I want to say for the record, I asked the question, is white supremacist a group sport? As you know, they made the conviction of Bill Cosby, and he got 3 to 10, and they are now forming an image on the media or in the media with him being locked up in the orange suit. They want to create the image, they want to expediently create the image and put in the mind of the people that he is a villain. So before they even got the conviction, they got all these images with the media to create an image, whether he stays in jail and gets it overturned or whether he comes out. Hello there, how are we doing? Thank you so much for joining us, Davida. Thank you. Hello, Lonnie Johnson, how are you? I've missed all of you, and I've been on YouTube, so you can go out and subscribe and hit that subscribe button on YouTube and be a subscription person who is following me on the YouTube, because I've been doing some real serious work. I think you're going to be proud of the work that I've been doing, rather than gossiping about what has transpired with our dear brother and this indictment of the African race in general. What I have been doing is using my head. You know, Aries are ruled by the head, and we must find solution to whatever problem we pose. And I have posed that Bill Cosby, William Jr. Bill Cosby, is innocent, and he has not been proven guilty in a court of law. And here's what I want to do to remind you about our topic. Is the white supremacist a group sport? Let me back up here a minute. As you know, Bill was convicted in Montgomery County, and there was a conflict of interest with the judge running for office and asking the community in Montgomery County to vote for him if they wanted to convict Bill Cosby. So he ran on the ticket of Bill Cosby's getting convicted. He ran under that ticket, and he gathered momentum, and he gained supporting people under the auspices that he would convict Bill Cosby if they voted for him. That's a conflict of interest for him to be in political office using Bill Cosby's sensitive case to help him win the race. Now, that's a violation. The venue should have been changed. That's one of the things they can appeal under, because it was in the wrong venue in the first place. Now, you don't have to agree with me. Just go check it out. Now, I'm going to present some facts to you, because some of these things I read about in articles and I can substantiate them. I'm not just shooting from the hip. I'm very serious about court cases, because I feel that that's the only way that you can properly try somebody and convict them. You must have some facts. Number one, I don't know if you guys remember that Bill Cosby and Andrea Constant had went into an agreement. Andrea could not decipher the exact time and location that this so-called funneling had occurred. She said during January 2004 that it happened. And then they looked at her deposition and found that her dates were incorrect. And then they said she gave another date of March in another year. So they asked her which date was correct, and she said she didn't remember. Now, because there was such discrepancy, to get her to decipher an exact date and stick with it, they decided to settle outside of court. And Mrs. Allwright, the representative, the attorney, she had asked Bill for $100 million to pay for all of these so-called women that wanted to bring charges against him, and that they would go on their merry way and they wouldn't bother him anymore. He refused to give them this $1 million, but that's what she was trying to manhandle Bill for, $1 million to pay all these so-called victims. Now, mind you now, that out of all those 60 women that came forward, only Andrea Constance's case was selected because it was the newest one of being 14 years old. I understand that there's only 5 more that are pending, but they're not 60 women who have been found to have a violation against Bill Cosby. I want to repeat that. You need to get the facts straight. There are not 60 women that have indicted Bill for this particular plaintiff's case. Now, let's go on. So number one, as I said, that the judge who asked for people to vote for him in the Montgomery County, the venue was wrong, so that could be appealed. Now, because Andrea took an oath, and she was under sworn oath that she would not bring another charge back to Bill Cosby because he waived his Fifth Amendment and he gave a deposition, and they got him under oath saying that he had bought Quaaludes and he had offered the women drugs before, and he had had sex with some of them, but never had he ever used the drugs under the pretense that he would drug them for sex. So they took the deposition from Bill. He waived his Fifth Amendment, and under that waiving, he indicated that the judge told him that they would never be able to open his deposition. It would be sealed. And he promised Bill this. The deposition was supposed to be sealed and could not be used in the second hearing in court. But the judge opened the deposition up again. He unsealed it against the commitment he made to Bill, and he drafted out certain things in that deposition that would intimidate Bill and cause him to damage himself with his own statements. That document cannot be used and must be inadmissible in court. That's another appeal. Those are 3 things. Now, think about it. Here is a lady that can't get her dates together and cannot substantiate when this particular funneling had taken place. I understand that in the article that I read, it stated that Andrea Constant had complained to her mother about her being dissatisfied and unhappy, and about the fact that Bill may have touched her. Her mother urged her to make a report to somebody that was in the family that was in the law force. And then they later forced her into going to the police with this false testimony. Now, mind you now, this was almost 18-some years ago. So they settled with Andrea and giving her $3.4 million. And I understand her mother got $2-some-odd million for something as well. Bill paid this out. And Bill had been recorded as saying in the conversation that her mother illegally recorded that he was having with Andrea's mother. He wanted to know what was wrong with Andrea and how could he help. And in that conversation, Bill said, no, you know I would never drug her to have sex with her. And Andrea's mother said, oh, I know this, Bill. You would never do anything to hurt Andrea. And I understand, this is not my words, that in that conversation, Andrea's mother confirmed that Andrea needed to get herself together and go get a job. And that's all she needed because she had just gotten fired off her other job. So Andrea Constant was hurting for money. She lived in Canada. And she was going to start some type of massage business, I understand. It said and she needed money to get this business off the ground. She had even volunteered information to her girlfriend that when they were watching a scene on television about date rape, she openly stated to her girlfriend that that happened to me too. And her girlfriend said, you need to report that if that's happened to you. She said, oh no, I'm just kidding, but it could have happened to me and I could have used that in order to take some rich person down. She openly stated that to her friend. Okay, now, Andrea had many friends that was going to come forth and reveal her credibility as not being the woman who she claimed to be. One of her friends named Robert, who knew the family and knew the viciousness of Andrea's mother, because Andrea had lost a boyfriend to a black woman. And Andrea's mother, I understand in this article, Robert stated that Andrea despised black people and had a vendetta against black people and wanted to personally have her daughter go after Bill Cosby. Now, Robert knew about Andrea Constant, and he said he had to get away from these people. They were dangerous. He wanted to come into court and give his testimony, but his testimony never was entered in the court. Yet he could vouch for the credibility of Andrea, and it wasn't who she said she was. She had been caught up in the many insurance schemes, and she also had been found lying during the time that she accepted this money. She gave false dates when this supposedly had happened. Nevertheless, her mother hating African Americans and wanted her to take Bill down. She encouraged her, and Robert said that it could not have been done without the mother's instrumental support in trying to get Andrea to make these false statements. Now, that particular tape ended up in the courtroom as an exhibit. And because it had been tampered with and Bill listened to it, he knew that there was other things that was said in that conversation. So he brought in an expert to authenticate this tape to prove that it had been tampered with. And it was found that it had been tampered with, and the statements that Bill had made in the tape had been extracted. That tape was used to convict Bill Cosby, and it should have been inadmissible in a court. Another thing that they can appeal. Evidence that had been presented in court that needs to be overturned and dismissed because they cannot use any type of tape that has been tampered with. Now, I have a keen eye for these things. I spent a lot of time in the courtroom on my account and being able to see the process in which people are cross-examined and how things have to be presented to the court. You just can't go in the courtroom and start presenting things. You have to get permission to present exhibits, and they have to be entered prior to the case. They cannot show up at the last minute because they could be inadmissible. Those tapes should have been inadmissible because they had been tampered with and they've been dubbed over. But yet they was used to convict Mr. Bill Cosby. And yet we keep saying, but there were so many women. How could so many women say this if it wasn't true? It wasn't so many women. They found them to be lying, and their cases were inadmissible in court, and they didn't bring them in. There were only about 5 cases in general that are pending. And you must remember that Andrea won this money outside the court under a civil settlement, and it hadn't even gone to court. All of a sudden, Robert said that he couldn't believe his friend was bringing Mr. Cosby into court. And he couldn't believe that she had already gotten money from him almost 7 years later. Why did she wait 7 years later to bring this case back and now try to push it in the court of law when she had signed her signature that she would not further this civil case and she would not bring charges against him? And basically she purged herself because she got money up front as hush money. And she went against her words and brought him into court. And her lawyer filed, Mrs. Allwright filed a lawsuit against Bill and brought him into court. And she purged herself. So this is 7 years later. So what had went wrong after he agreed to pay her? But Allwright wanted over $100 million for the other women who she let in through the back door. But Bill refused because he knew she was just letting people in. And they were trying to get him to indict himself and to pass up his rights by signing and stating that he would give his testimony. Now, mind you now, here is a person that's not credible because of the fact that her life history had shown that she had been engaged in other insurance plunders and deals, and she was coming from Canada trying to make a living here in the United States. And Bill and her did have a relationship because Bill did ask her what does she need and told the mother he would help her with school to enroll into graduate school. Bill had bought her gifts and Bill was actually dating her. Now, but it was a consensual dating, and she had made several calls to Bill after this so-called sexual harassment, over 70 phone calls to him. And that looks like they had a relationship going. It wasn't one that you would go back to your assailant after he raped you over 70 times. It was obvious that she had a relationship with Bill. Now, nevertheless, no means no. But you must understand, Bill had only agreed to the fact that he gave her a Benadryl, a half of Benadryl, and not a Quaalude. She confessed that it was blue and green pills. Here's where they got her at. During the time and the year and the era that she claimed she obtained these Quaaludes, she described them as being colorful. But during that particular time of the year, the pharmacy was no way making blue and green Quaaludes. They were large, big white tablets. So they targeted her on that because she was lying, because they couldn't have been Quaaludes that were colorful because the pharmacy wasn't even making colorful Quaaludes at that time. And Bill only agreed to give her a Benadryl and a half of a one at that because she complained of a headache. So she tried to say that Bill electronically touched her when in fact he never had touched her. So there was no conviction on this rape whatsoever, nor the funneling or titillation of her body. And Bill only agreed to offering her this Benadryl. So he did not offer her that Benadryl for the purpose of getting her intoxicated so he could have sex with her unconsensual. So he was not convicted of rape. Now, nevertheless, here's what I'm going to tell you what Bill could be character assassinated for. Everyone knows about his pound cake speech. That's how they coined it, the pound cake speech, when he went off on the black people, talking down to the black people, pointing his finger at the black people, putting the black people down. As you know, when black people want white people to think that they're challenging their own race and putting them in their place, they do a demonstration called a show. For the purposes, this is called the show. That's what Bill was doing, putting on a show for the white people to show him that he was chastising his own people. When in fact, he had never pointed out the inadequacy of those elite white people. He thought he was in the circle of those elite white people. That's why it was easy for him to have all these mistresses that were white. And he had consensual relationship with them. But we must remember, while Bill was busy giving that speech, white folks were saying he's giving them what they deserve, when in fact they deserve more. Bill had to understand one thing. When you're a rich man, once you become rich, you have to take some of that money to secure your position in the financial world so you don't lose it, and to protect the goon from coming after you to take your money. And the only thing he did not do was put black people in place to secure and protect his money. And he did not go out to the political officers who were running for the party, like the DAs. He didn't put money in their pocket to buy these political party members like we were told to do. Like Claude told us, if we want to play the game of political parties, we must buy our opponents that we want to put in place and put enough money in their pocket so that they will support us in a time of need. Bill had not bought any political parties nor the DA. Now, when white people are practicing white supremacists, they know what can get you convicted. A DA can get you convicted. He's the one that they have to sit in the courtroom to convict you. And he has to put a motive there. So, because they were out to get Bill in this white supremacist group, they had to put their group together. They put their DA together first, who was bought. And then they brought in the Me Too women, who was flown in and accommodated, and they were bought and paid for. Not to mention the judge who was brought in and given the opportunity to slide under the ticket in the Montgomery County under the auspices that he would put Bill under. So all these people were put in place. Bill's only mistake is that he never bought any of these political officers and put them in his back pocket, so when time came for him to need them, he had them there to support him. He was banking on all these particular bougie people in the television industry that would support him. And they never had gave Bill the indication that they were going to support him. He was one of them, of course, as long as he did what they told him. But when he started saying he was going to buy NBC and CBS, they said, oh no, who does he think he is? We have to put this boy in his place. He cannot come in here with our money and buy any of our television station and start depicting black people as wholesome people. We can't have that. When they kept saying that they needed a television show that had been on for many years and that could depict a good series for black, and everyone kept mentioning the Cosby Show, the whites did not want to have that as a legacy. So they went after his legacy to destroy his legacy of being the household name of the Father of the universe in all households. So they had to dismantle his credibility and his character. So they went after stripping him of this television show so it'd never be seen on television again, and henceforth and forevermore putting all those other blacks out of work who was perpetuating the Bill Cosby Show and the image of a wholesome family that was black who lived middle class. Bill had no idea that behind his back this was going on. Now this is your white supremacist group. It's a sports to them. It's a dangerous sports, and they're using this sports to bring down a black man because they wanted to send a message to the black race. Now here's Bill thinking, I'm okay. And he didn't realize to take out the checkbook earlier and tell his wife, look, let's buy us some politicians. Put them in place. Buy them right now. Tell them you will support them financially. It's not illegal. They do it every day. And then when the DA would have came after him, he would say, hold up. Bill has already bought me. He done paid in advance because he knew it was coming, and I've been paid. And these people are on code because Bill has told them when they stop you, let them know that I've paid you in full, and you are like a prepaid credit card where in case I had to use my ace in the hole, you've been paid for. And then the DA would have said, not me. I'm not purging myself. I've been paid. Y'all get y'all another DA. Then they wouldn't have been able to bring that DA in. But nevertheless, Claude Anderson told us this. But everybody tried to discredit Claude Anderson and say, oh, he's not a good businessman. Don't listen to him. He knew one thing for sure, that you first buy up all the politicians you can buy up, put them in your back pocket, and get them on your side. So when you need referendums passed in your community and you need things done, you got some politicians that have the power to do so. And it don't take a whole lot of money. Guess what? Instead of us going to the polls this year, we should start getting our little ducats together and looking at who we can put in office as a black person and put some money in their pocket and buy them. Buy them before they go into office, and you have them with a couple of thousands of dollars, and they will be for you and support you. You just can't walk in there and pull the leverage and think things are going to happen for you. They could care less about you voting for them. They want you to put some money in their pocket. And that's why Oprah went in and bought our dear President Obama. She bought him. So he danced to her tune and her music. And we have to understand we're no longer a Democratic Party anymore. We're no longer a Republican. We're liberal. And we have to formalize our own men and women that we want to get in office to do things for our community and for us. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Let me see what else I wanted to discuss with you. We have to find those people that are in position to protect us. And we have to start early, because all they're going to tell you is the law is the law. And the law has never been pointed in the direction for black people. Black people have always been outside the letter of the law. And they tell you that in the Constitution, that black people do not get proper law. And they don't have to administer it to you. They can run you through all rabbit holes and up and down trees, but they don't have to administer law to you. And Bill did not get true law, because true law will stand and it will allow you to use it to do that which is intended. And if it does not, you do not have to abide by the law. Now, here's the thing I want to talk to you guys about. We keep talking about we got to do something, we got to do something, we got to do something. And you're right. We need to have a blueprint for success. A blueprint for success. And I am an organizer and a strategic organizer. When people come to me with problems, I say, wait a minute, let's break it down. What are the issues and how can we be on the defense instead of the offense? I'm a sports player, so I always know the first thing is to get people on the defense and not you on the offense. So I created the Navigating a Turning Point, a blueprint for change. And that's what we need, is a blueprint for change. We can't keep hollering about how things are so wrong and how, look at how they did me wrong love song. We have got to organize. And organization is very, very important, because the thing that makes you fail is not because you're wrong or right. What makes you fail is inadvertently, if you don't plan to succeed, you by default plan to fail. So you must have plans in place. Why do I say that? Because we got to look for the bootstraps. We got to be able to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. We are natural organizers. And when we won those political parties, is because we naturally strategized and laid some plan to offset those offenders. And we became, we put them on the run and put them on notice. So I have set up the Council of Elders. I am a spiritualist, and I work with many elders, and we come together under many circumstances for things in the black community. And this is what we used to do in Milwaukee. I'm no longer in Milwaukee, and I don't have access to those people here. But we have got to strategize and help to organize so that we are not on the offense all the time. We are defensive people, putting them on the defense because we have done our homework. Now, I'm not a member of the bar. I'm not a member of the DA, and nor do I have any exclusive rights into the courtroom to become a judge. But I do know one thing: our constitutional rights were written down there under the 14th Amendment, and we've got to reactivate them so that we are active. Being a part of the Native American tribe, I know the tribes must come together and make decisions. This is a tribal meeting, whether you want to believe it or not. You're engaged in a tribal meeting, and the tribe talks about things. And I just didn't put together Omega 7 and the tribe for nothing. You are going to be called upon at any given time to give your input and to help seal the next case that comes through. Now, they tried to bring Morgan Freeman in, and he was ready for them. He wasn't caught sleeping. He was on code. So I'm going to tell each one of y'all not to be caught sleeping. Be on code. That means you may be able to know what to do by virtue of a phone call, and that will be your code. But you have to stop running away from white folks thinking that this white supremacist group can beat you. They only beat you because they have people in place to offset you, to put you on the offense. They have planned and strategized. As I told you, I'm a master strategizer. And I think things through because I'm ruled by the head. And you should be too. These people have stayed up late nights strategizing and putting their team one and team effect into place. When we're somewhere boogalooing, jerking it on down, having a good time at the club, at the ball game, on that scene, having a good time. Stop it. We don't have time for that stuff no more. We got to use our heads, if it kills us, to set up a strategy to stop the killings in our community. We got to have an elder of counsel for everything. And you can't make a move or you can't take a bathroom break until you check with the council. Checks and balances have to be put into place, and we as black people have got to come together on this, else they're going to take us out one by one, and if massive cases, they will. This is the beginning of a legal system that they're demonstrating to us. We told you this system wasn't for you. No matter how much money you got, if you've done something wrong and you presented yourself in the wrong way to make us look like you're the father of all creation, they couldn't have that. Bill's image had to be destroyed, and he had to be dismantled. And it is just an example of them taking a blow at the black man in general, little by little, till they dismantle him and all black men. But if the women have any sense, they should be able to see this, and they should be able to concur with me on what I'm saying. But you have a lot of women out here on these YouTubes that are preaching the wrong thing, and they're running to the other side of the road, siding with the enemy, making it look like they're part of the Me Too and that they will character assassinate a black man by any means necessary because they never loved them in the first place. I don't care what kind of personal feeling you have between your man and you get it together because you representing the indigenous people. It ain't about you and your black man. It's about representing the indigenous people because the indigenous people are up under attack at this time. So how many of you can stand with the indigenous people so we won't become extinct and off the face of this earth? Women, you can do this. You can organize and you can stand with your black men so we can have one voice, one aim, and one purpose. One voice, one aim, and one purpose. And that we're not scattered and fragmented in our thinking, and that we are half over here and half over there because we believe that he did something wrong, because we believe those women were violated. Those women were not violated. They saw an opportunity to come and to rob a very rich man and to get a payday. And Andrea Constant was one of them who was looking to get a second payday. She was greedy. That $3.4 million wasn't enough. After she blew it, she came back for more. And we as black people were stupid enough to let her walk to the door the second time. We should have barred her from bringing the case. We should have stood outside and prevented it because she's lying. She can't even get the dates right that this incident so-called happened. And nobody is saying, okay, Andrea, if you can't get the dates right, come back to us when you get the dates right. You cannot go up under this and you cannot write this complaint and incriminate yourself by purging yourself. You cannot do that. And instead, we let her in there. We let her come back with Mrs. Albright, who put Bill under the microscope and who tried to muzzle Bill for $1 million to open up his pocketbook and give $1 million for these so-called women that were being paid to come in to give these statements. Half of these women weren't credible. Some of them were junkies. Some of them had bad reputation, and they couldn't be considered as credible. But yet, they were going to enter all these particular cases, and it came out, we cannot have these women on the trial lying. So they dismissed them, all but 5. So it's not 60 women against Bill. Let's get that straight. And let's do some homework. Start looking at YouTube and reading some of the articles before you open your mouth and start putting out heresy. Because there's been so much heresy printed on this case. And Bill Cosby's wife should be suing a lot of people for falsifying statements that weren't in his statement when he first made his confession. So what must we do? We must formalize ourselves and have advisory committees. Advisories that will come and become the Council of Elders. Advisories that will allow us to go to our Council of Elders, and our Council of Elders will be there to give us assistance and will help us and to make the proper decision. We are not considering the elderly and helping us to make correct decision. The Africans always considered the elderly, always. We went to the elders for everything, to get the opinion of the elders and to make sure that they weren't prejudging somebody before the fact. That is called racism. When you prejudge somebody before the fact, that is not doing your due diligence and getting the information before you write down anything. Now, Bill has been judged before the fact and documentation was made. Bill had made some mistakes. He came against the black folk all in the name of satisfying the white people, and he did it openly under his pound cake speech. Only he didn't pound the right people. He pounded some innocent black people who did need to get it together, but he pounded them all in the name of the white folks patting him on the head and say, "Good deed, Bill. You wouldn't straighten your people out." But first of all, Bill made a mistake. He didn't put any securities or some safeguards in his surroundings of his money. Most people take their money to secure their money so that good fortune never leaves them. Bill never secured his fortune, and he never placed the money where it can do some good to protect him in a situation like this. So I fought Bill for that because he stayed away from the hood and he didn't come to see and look on the outside of what they were doing to him slowly. He didn't have an inkling that this Andrea Constant was setting him up. He truly thought this woman was in love with him. And I have to tell you, white supremacists are never in love with blacks. They may be in love with your ideology of who you are, but when it comes to them separating themselves from you and their people, they will always turn to their people first. And that is the right thing to do. Do for self first. But Bill did not do for self. He didn't put safeguard positions into place, such as having political officers like the DA behind him and buying up some of these politicians for protection. Common sense would have told him, you need some protection, Bill, put it in place. Now, why Camille didn't see this, I don't know. Maybe she too was mesmerized by the Caucasian man and thought they truly loved him. But a white supremacist cannot truly love you, else they will eliminate themselves. And they know that a black man, through appropriation, can eliminate them. So they have to put you on the run first. So you may be let in to their social groups and their social clubs, but by virtue of the fact that they are not going to give you the safety that you need, because if Michael Jackson hadn't had the lawyer that he had, they would have sent him up the river too. But Jackson had put some things in place where he had a fan base of people who loved him. And because of his fan base, they imposed upon the DA to let him go, else they were going to tear up the city, the town, and the country. Bill didn't have that kind of momentum behind him. He didn't have a rallying group that they had created through the media for him. Bill thought that his money and the fact that he sold pudding pops and that the whole world loved him, he thought they would come prancing to his rescue. But they couldn't wait till they got an image of him to put in an orange suit, to put in the mind of the beholder that, see here, all black men are criminal, even Bill, the father of the world. So they put that out there to put in the minds of the people that even you can't trust your great father that we have depicted as the father of the world. So we must change things. We must change our judicial system by having a council of elders. And that council of elders must be consisted of African brothers and sisters. And we are for Africans by Africans that we create. We cannot allow this council to be tainted by the viewpoints of someone that is in a survival mode. We are in a survival mode. We can become extinct at any time, losing our black men with all of the black men in prison. We can become easily extinct if we can't reproduce ourselves, if our black men are all locked away. And women, I'm appealing to you that it's time for you to wake up and say, I want to see that we put our structures of organization in place, so if we should have to use them, they will all be premeditated before the fact. We won't be an afterthought. We'll be in the thick of things, because while they're formalizing the YouTube movement, you better believe they're looking to pounce on another black man, and they already have tried to do so with Morgan Freeman. So don't think that it's going to stop. You must understand, this is a survival mode. We're in the era of Aquarius, and literally the water barrier. We have something at our advantage. We have priests and priestesses that we can look into the Cosmic record to get answers and solutions. This is our magic at work. And I speak about it frequently. We weren't given the powers of the ancestors for nothing. This is our magic at work that we have to exercise to use. If you don't exercise to use it on a daily basis, you can call out to the ancestors all you want. They're not going to respond to you unless you know the code. And you've got to learn how to tap in to the powers of your melanin, to call melanin in demand, and even call it from the grave when it's needed. It's a very powerful substance, but you have to have the code of your magic stick. And if you're not using your gift now, I'm sure that your melanin is calcified and is laid there dormant and is doing nothing for you. So when there's no more use for the black man, maybe their bodies and organs may be of use, because everybody's trying to extract melanin. Everybody, even those non-melanite people. And sometimes you are better off deceased so they can extract your organs and body part and your melanin. And we're not going to become extinct because we've made it thus far. And in all of the pillaging and colonization and slavery, we've made it through. We're the best that our ancestors have left to give. We're the sum total of our ancestors. But we cannot be anything if we're not organizers and strategizers. They tell me our elderly people and seniors with just minimum 3rd and 4th grade knowledge were putting together councils and advisory groups that were effective and that were debunking problems of racism. Racism and white supremacists is real. As we know, many of our great fathers and lecturers spoke about white supremacists, and we thought it wasn't real. We thought it didn't exist, but it's a survival mechanism. And they may come across as saying, well, why would I be a person that discriminates? No, I think all people are equal. But when it comes to their survival, they must put white supremacists into act, like it or not, because they're going to survive. Now, I'd like to say to some of you that you've been coming on Facebook looking for answers. Why don't you be a part of the solution? Why don't you try to strategize and work towards breaking down the Me Too movement and developing the Council of Elders so we can have our own eldership and we can go and help our elders to create a judicial system that would allow us to judge our own people. Not that the white folks can't do it, they just can't do it in our communities because of the impartialities. They just can't do it in the courtrooms because they overlook the rights of a black man or woman in a courtroom. And don't go being divided and saying, well, their judicial system is just as fair. Well, then tell me why they have so many black men locked up in prison who have not yet had their day in court. If their court cases went anything like Bill Cosby, a lot of men are in jail waiting for their appeal. And Bill definitely deserves an appeal, but you know how long an appeal takes. They're banking on the fact that he may not survive even the 3 years before the appeal come up. But we might have to take this case outside of the United States to get it overturned because of all the flaws that was in the courtroom. Now, you cannot be afraid because your ancestors will give you a covering and a protection. And don't start whispering, saying, well, what would the white folks say if they hear us talking about this? They'll say they're some smart Negroes because they know that we are going to come after them, and they best create a haven and a support system to vindicate themselves. Every race of people wants to vindicate themselves and save themselves from the enemy. And we are up under attack now, whether you like it or not. We are not taking the defense and going after any Caucasian. We have not raided any of their communities, come into their schools and demanded enrollment. We are not bothering with them. We are people that want peace and want to be treated equal. And when we are pushed up against a wall, naturally, we have a complaint. And we have a reason to want to supervise and advise our own people, because the seniors and elders know that the ancestors will not allow them to come into courtrooms with partiality and discrimination and biases against anyone. We must use our Iwa Pelu, our good character, and our good conduct. This is what they went after with Bill Cosby. They first defaced the man, then they went after his good image and defaced his image. But Bill believed so strongly in them, you say. He catered to them, and he whipped upon the black folk so that they would think that he was with them. And Bill did this as openly showing to make the white folks think, I'm getting our black people in shape. You don't have to. But nevertheless, Bill should have turned to them and told them about their idiosyncrasies and their injustice. He should have blurted out to them just what he saw in them from living around them so long. But he was afraid that they would come after him. And they did anyway, because they wanted to dismantle Bill's good character and discredit him and put him under for once and for all. And they took a DA to do it, because whenever you're going to bring a person down, you bring in a DA and you pad his pockets and tell him this is what you have to do. And they know their mission by any means necessary. They go after that person because they've been paid. This political voting time is coming up. We still haven't got anything structured. We're just going to go in and pull the leverage Democrat because we think that that's who we are. That's not who we are. We got to find the best individuals for these offices, and we got to go in and make a deal with them that they can't refuse and tell them that we have bought them and they're now in our pocketbooks. If you have anything you'd like to say, please type something up on the screen. And I'm here tuned in to YouTube channel. Hello, YouTube. You've got Omiika's production studio coming at you live. This is a special broadcast under dealing with the Council of Elders and our discussion with YouTube and with Facebook on what options do we have when we're dealing with the white supremacists that is being played like a sport. They are playing this like a sport. And how do we get in the game? You cannot win if you don't get in the game. How do we get in this game called white supremacists to offset it? What do we do to stop it and stomp it and put it in its proper position? How do we make a change and a turnaround? Are there anybody that would love to talk, to come up front, to say something? Come right ahead. And let me do a roll call here and see who's all here. We have Renelle. How are you, Renelle Ross? Lonnie Johnson. Anthony Jenkins. Pastor Frank Hammond. How are you, Pastor Frank Hammond? Amen Hotep. Michael Savage. Denise Price. Bonita Royster. Judith Martin. How are you doing? Bruce Ward. Joe Scott. Gerald Williams. Judith Martin. Amen Hotep. Let's see here. Anthony Harris, I said your name was. And King Deborah. And let's see here. Barry. How you doing, Barry? Thank you so much for joining me today. And I've been on for some time now. And I would like for someone to take the stand up here if you want to speak. It would be great if you could come up here and say something. I don't know how to get you up here to say anything, but I see somebody up here now. If you'd like to speak, please do come on and say something. Okay, I can't seem to get you up there to say anything. If anybody knows how to put themselves up on the screen as a buddy to say something, please do. And I've been pushing buttons and I can't get anyone. I'm saying go to the screen and say something. Okay. I'm not able to get anybody to go to the screen up there. Okay. Now, I am about to check out if there's no one else that would like to say anything. And I'd like for you to subscribe by subscribing to me as a follower. And if you'd like to put something down at the subscription, please do put your response down there at the YouTube channel and also on the Facebook, because I'm broadcasting live on both of them. And we'd like to thank you so very much for being here with us today. And we'd like to bid you well. And don't forget that we must set up advisory groups for our council of elders. Think of somebody that you would like to nominate. These are not going to be people that just walk in. They have to be nominated to be on the council of elders. And they have to be 50 years or older. We don't want to create a council of elders and you're too young. You need to be 50 years or older in order to consider yourself an elder. And we will advise you and let you sit on a panel to help us make decisions about cases and about how we should handle things. We do need a council of elders so that we can appeal to them. We can no longer be out here by ourselves. And right now we're out here by ourselves without a real leader. We don't need a leader anymore. We need our groups of people to come together, and then we have one voice, one aim, and one communication for the people. So I hope that you understand why we are having to do this, because we're getting taken by the neck and we're being slaughtered in just as we are standing here speaking, people are being slaughtered on a daily basis, and they're being taken to the slaughter without any help. And as you see, poor Bill had no one outside rallying for him to stop it and to release Bill. And we've got to create a strong policy that would allow us to use our political backing and put some money behind it to buy our political officers to help us. We no longer going to put our vote where our money and our mouth is not. We put our money and our mouth together, and we get what we want out of these politicians. And I like to say to you at this particular time, if you haven't selected your politician of choice, then you run for something. And if you are a person of good value and have good character, run for some office and then petition your people to help pay your way and put some money on you so that they can buy you and put you in their back pocket. And that's how we have to do that. And thank you so very much. You've been listening to Maddie Harvey's Baby Sister, and I am Omi Inca 7, and I am with Oracle's Divination Network on Blog Talk Radio Station and on YouTube as Omi's Production Studio. I bid you well, and thank you so much for joining me under this exclusive topic today. Thank you. Odavo.